Welcome back to the Subver. I'm Alex Knight, and welcome to the land of no easy answers. That's our latest tagline because, as we all know, the world is more connected than ever, and somehow we have a challenge connecting with each other every single day as we bury our faces in our phones. I wonder why that happens. I'm joined by Aaron Stewart, who is at... seems to be completely distracted and doesn't realize that he's on air live.
Hey,
yes. Yeah, there's actually work to be done here. I'm also joined by Kristin Rumohr. Hey, Kristin.
And a very hearty hello.
There we go. This is very likely, I will say this, I will warn listeners now, they're going to be dropping like flies because this probably will be the weirdest episode we will ever do. And the reason for that is because we're going to be talking about...
Don't challenge us with that.
Yeah, dude.
We can get weirder.
I'll challenge you. I'll challenge you to it.
I really have no idea.
We are going to be talking about a historical thing today, and that is the discovery, or is it, of Jesus' foreskin. Aaron, you picked this topic, of course. What the hell is this about?
I scour the internet looking for the most interesting topics to bring to you to talk
about. Thank you. I just don't. I don't even know what.
He gives the people what they want.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with this because this is probably the strangest subject matter you've ever brought to the table.
But it's one of those things that you didn't know you needed to know about until
now. I'm finding that out now. I'm sure there'll be some interesting tidbits here.
Well, I want to start this with basically just the quote from the guys that they basically interviewed, James White, who's a PhD candidate at the University of Alberta. And he basically says that I think studying the holy foreskin is a nice ego check for all of us. People 700 years in the future are going to think we're pretty strange too. We're not the ultimate modern evolved human beings that we sometimes think we are. And I think this basically is exactly where I wanted to go with this, was just to point out, illustrate the fact that just because they have crazy ideas, well, guess what? We have a whole bunch of our own here, right? And just the idea that, we have our own holy foreskins that we carry around every day, and and really to kind of understand how this became a thing really benefits us in the long run. So, yeah.
Okay.
So let's get right into it.
Yes.
Because it's just an absolutely fascinating topic for me. The idea.
Well, it is.
And not even right at the, it wasn't even they circumcised Jesus, 8 days after his birth, as was apparently traditional. And the doctor held up the foreskin and went, "Look, the holy foreskin." And everybody gathered around and the villagers sang and danced and they had a big, this is apparently 800 years after Jesus' death, where apparently it was presented to Pope Leo III as a gift from one of the kings, and which begs the question of, 800 years time, what happened to Jesus' foreskin in between? I'm sure there was a real journey involved there.
Was it just discovered? Was it like, when you unearth a dinosaur bone? But then all of a sudden, what have we found here? Oh my God.
Some dude with the brush was just carefully brushing it off. Oh my God, it's a Jesus foreskin.
But wait, there's something holier about this foreskin than the average foreskin.
He's brushing it off and it's glowing from within.
A little halo around the top.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. It was described as an A-list celebrity at the time, where, the villages that had, not just one village, I'll point this out too, there was many villages, up to 40 of them apparently, that had Jesus foreskin. But this was a very big deal for these villages.
Foreskins.
Sorry?
Jesus had 40 penises to have 40 foreskins?
Well, they diced it up into pieces so that they could sell it out.
Well, speak to more about that. Why is it so important to people? Out of all the things, all the historical artifacts you could find, why care about that so much?
Right.
Really?
And that's exactly the whole point of this is what exactly was it about Jesus' foreskin that people were just like, yeah, that obviously has magical powers.
Is that why?
Obviously, I mean, it was the holy foreskin of Jesus,
Okay.
right? So they talk about how apparently it had what was called super incorruptibility, where the idea was that any of these holy relics didn't corrode, they didn't break down like normal things would, right? They were incorruptible, right? So the idea was that Jesus' foreskin, being a holy relic, would be falling under the same category and would never break down.
Just as fresh today as it was 2,000 years ago, people.
Yeah. It apparently also had the divine ability of multiplicity, where it could apparently just multiply itself whenever needed. And so more of them could just show up wherever the holy foreskin was needed. One of them would appear in order to save the village from.
Out of all of the potentially useful things that could multiply infinitely, it's got to be the foreskin.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that apparently it was just some salesman who figured out that they could make some money off of this, and that's the issue with all of this, is that these people utterly believed that they were witnessing a miracle. And that's kind of the part of the mentality of this that really just made me go, hey, wait a minute, right? And like you said, the ego check of, we like to think that we're these evolved human beings. Oh, that's crazy, right? Like, we'd never believe that Jesus' foreskin was wandering, right? Like, but we have all sorts of these, and that's kind of part of the podcast here too, where we talk about these weird beliefs that we have and why do we still carry this stuff around, right? The episode we're apparently going to do after this about how smart people make bad decisions, right? A lot of that ties into this as well, right? Where these were very smart people who convinced themselves that this was a holy relic and not just some child's foreskin that they had treated, and just, yeah,
But let's, for argument's sake, let's say it actually is. Right. What do you think people are getting out of that?
And that is a great question. Like being the master of psychology, what would you kind of posit as the main, get for that? Is it just, we've got the foreskin and you don't? Is it basically just a rivalry kind of thing, or? Right?
Whoever holds the foreskin holds the
power. Right? Like, is that is it really just that simple inside of our silly little brains?
Mm-hmm.
Realist, yeah, and that is exactly the answer right there. Probably.
Yep. It's tough to try and switch and talk seriously when we're talking foreskin. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's like, again, it is a serious thing, because it is one of those things that again speaks to where we are today. Because we're, again, not that far from that. So the idea that by getting a better understanding of what led them to believe that this was a holy relic, we could maybe deal with the holy relics that we have today and peel back that layer a little bit, right? We still have, I'm sure, thousands of, weeping Marys and, Jesus burnt into toast that people are going, oh, on a daily basis. These kind of things, miraculous, behaviors are manifesting themselves in our brains all the time. And how do we kind of get around this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is it simply by pointing out the fact that Jesus' foreskin was a thing, and maybe that's silly enough to make them go, okay, maybe the rest of it's kind of silly too?
I guess it's just having something concrete to hold on to, right? When we're dealing with something intangible, such as like the existential beings of, who created the universe and whatnot. I get it. You need something tangible to hold on to if you're going to have that sort of belief. Why foreskin would do that, I don't know. In terms of other relics, I can understand that. Gives you something to ground your belief system into.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can't get a hold of, a lock of Jesus' hair, well, his foreskin will do just fine, eh?
Maybe it was the only thing left lying around.
Well, and again, I was talking earlier before we started about, what exactly happened to Jesus after Easter. About how the stone rolled back from his tomb after 3 days and supposedly he was gone. Well, where'd he go? Right? Like, was he just dropping foreskins? Like, where are the rest of the pieces of him? Why haven't, did they not dismember him and just, go, okay, so you get a pinky toe, you get the finger, you get the hand, you get the, right? Like,
Oh, I think my lunch is coming back up.
what if they knew that his foreskin was going to be a holy relic? Wouldn't they have known, after he was actually a thing? I mean, if at 8 days old, they knew that his foreskin was going to be something that they needed to save. Little Peggy with Jesus' foreskin and his birthday written on it, right? I mean,
and who is the keeper of the foreskin for those 800 years?
Right, and that's
like a secret order of the foreskin.
What were they thinking when they opened the box and now there's 2 of them? Oh, what? How does that happen? I mean, now there's 4. Oh, okay, this is getting strange now. I'd better start sending some of these off to other churches before they just overfill the box here or something. I mean,
wow,
this is just loads of fun, right?
It is. And again, it is.
It's and the idea is that we're just as silly. Right? Yeah, and again, we have to keep pointing this finger back at ourselves and go, yeah, but what kind of stupid stuff do you believe? Right? And I think we try to keep coming back to that is again, this is just an example. And this will be a touchstone moving forward, right? Is how do we tie this back to Jesus' foreskin? Just
it all comes back to the foreskin.
The absurdity that people were bowing down to the holy foreskin. Right? Like, and people were coming, there was a lineup of people coming by to kiss the holy foreskin and just,
tastes a bit nutty.
Receive the blessing of the holy foreskin. I just,
Aaron, this is Jesus. I wanted to let you know.
I know
that I'm uncut.
Wait a minute. What? No, but wait. We know he was Jewish, or do we? Was he Jewish? Or was that
then whose foreskin am I holding?
There's a lot that we don't actually know. I mean, do we really? Is there actual evidence that he was even a real person? That's still...
There apparently is some historical stuff that might point to the idea that he was an actual dude. But, any of the miraculous stuff around that...
Of course, that's all...
Right? I mean...
Nonsense.
In all fairness, though, we don't know. We weren't there.
That is very true. We don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't say with absolute truth.
I mean, there's a lot of things that we can't say with absolute truth, but it doesn't mean that we should jump to some crazy supposition that he had.
Well, sure. I mean, logically thinking.
Yeah.
And that's where, I've never seen anybody, touch somebody on the forehead and make them rise from the dead or turn fish into, or make water into wine or anything.
What if Jesus was actually some
powers beforehand? Sure.
Maybe he was an alien from another universe, and who knows? I mean, maybe he came down to Earth and he was on this omnipotent being, and that's not something we could possibly wrap our minds around. I don't know.
I think I've actually heard this theory. Right? He was just an alien, but brought new technology that no one's ever seen. So to us, it looked miraculous.
Yeah.
Well, that's the old Isaac Asimov quote, that anything new technology that appeared would basically look like magic to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if an alien species were to come down from the sky, it would basically be magical, right? Like we wouldn't have any explanation for it until they explained to us, no, we're just, we just harnessed the gravity waves. You guys haven't harnessed the gravity waves yet?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think would happen if you jumped in a time machine and went back to the 1600s and brought an iPhone with you? I mean, they'd probably think you're the devil. Right?
Oh, you'd definitely get burned for that.
Oh, you'd get burned at the stake for that, for sure. They'd be like, "This is what kind of sorcery is this?" It would happen.
Sure.
That's right.
It was a good Schwarzenegger, but it was a little odd that you chose that one.
And then I killed them all.
That's a very special Schwarzenegger you've got going there.
Schwarzenegger as Jesus. This time it's personal.
Coming to theaters This August, Arnold Schwarzenegger is Jesus. I've never been to Mars.
Okay, was that you or was that? Because I think you're watching me right now, and I couldn't tell if it was you making that or was that an actual internet quote or something.
No, I'm quoting Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. You blab, Quaid, you blabbed about Mars. What the fuck? I've never even been to Mars. Anyway, I've completely derailed this conversation about Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what? I would watch that movie if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger as Jesus Christ. That would be fascinating.
That'd be great. Let's pitch it. We got a hit.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron, you got anything else on this subject to get us back in line here?
Well, and that's, I'm just kind of flipping through this article right now, and they point to places like Graceland, right, as ideas of our secular version or modern day versions of exactly this kind of phenomenon, right, where Elvis was a dude who made some songs, and yet people will travel many, many, many miles to go and touch his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we're going to be coming back to Jesus Foreskin on many occasions. I feel it's going to be a real touch point for. Yeah.
So should we cut
cultural?
Should we cut this episode short? See what I did right there? Should we cut it short?
Oh God.
Cut it out. Anyway,
I think we could stretch it out.
Oh God!
Yeah, definitely.
We got to put the reins on this. Put the reins on this foreskin subject. Pull it back. I'm just gonna keep going. Aaron's like, no.
Oh no, I'm all about that. It was like, okay, Brian, here we go. They'll just come to me as soon as we cut. I'm like, oh, this was a great one. Damn it.
Okay.
That's usually how the brain works.
Well, why don't we end it there before this gets even weirder? Aaron's like, well, I can get weirder if you want.
I mean, this was just the beginning, right? Again, if you thought that Jesus Foreskin was as weird as this was going to go, I haven't even gotten into most of the science facts of the week that I had read through that were weird, right? I mean,
well, okay. Is that something you want to talk about right now, or is this for
later?
Okay,
don't worry. That'll be many episodes.
Okay. Well, we're gonna keep doing this.
I don't want to take the spotlight off of Jesus.
We'll be back.
Exactly. This was all about Jesus Foreskin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, we have to focus on something, otherwise it's going to be everywhere. This is going to be all over the place. Anyways, thanks very much for listening, watching. If you're on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button to make sure you get every new episode each and every week. And of course, we release these episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for your enjoyment. If you prefer an audio-only version of this, we are available as a podcast in whatever podcast apps you enjoy. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and Stitcher. We're on Spotify, which has become a very popular platform for podcasts. And you can ask your Internet of Things device, Siri, Alexa. I'm sorry, I apologize. I just triggered all of those devices that are listening to this show right now. Just ask them to listen to The Subvert, and it should pull up our show. Let us know what you'd like to hear in a future episode as well. If you have a topic suggestion, just drop it down in the comments, or just ask us on Twitter. We're at The Subvert Pod, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram now as well. And you can reach us by email if you prefer the old school method. hello@thesubvertpod.com for that. That's all the time we have for this week. We'll see you next time.
Throwing foreskins. That was the one.
The Subvert, throwing foreskins since 2021.